Blog Talk Radio.
What do you do when you don't know? Just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura will journey with you to all the places on
Ready
the
to see
go.
today.
What do you do when you don't know? Just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura will journey with you to all the places others won't go.
You're listening to Ask the Unicorn, live with Ahura Deliza, answering all your paranormal, metaphysical, and spiritual questions. Call us now at 718-664-9638 to speak with Ahura, or post your questions via chat room on our show page. And now your host, Ahura Z.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ask the Unicorn. You're on the air live with Ahura Z. That is me. And we have Kazi. Kazi, say hello to everyone.
Good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, January the 8th, and this is episode 15.
All right. We have a special show tonight. There are some colleagues of mine that are in our studio, actually here in the studio, not on the phone, actually here. And it is the two leaders of East Coast Ghost Trackers here in Maine. And I'm going to give you all the opportunity to ask them questions. They're going to tell us a few stories about their adventures. They are real paranormal investigators, not TV paranormal investigators, even though they have a television show, and we will allow them to tell you about that a little later. However, there are very few groups that I actually endorse, and they are one of them. So I'm going to give you all the opportunity to question them. Please ask them as many questions as you like. They are very well equipped. They'll tell you about their equipment. They'll tell you about their tactics. They'll tell you about some of their experiences, and some of them may help you out. So if you have some questions and you need a paranormal investigator, I suggest them. Now, before we get to them, however, I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask a few questions just so that we can get into the general tone of the show. And what have you got for me first?
First question is from Eve. What is the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle? Why do ships and planes disappear? Do you think it is from extraterrestrial activity?
That's really interesting. That mystery part. Basically, what you're looking at is a conjunction. It's a conjunction of magnetic forces. Now, whether or not there are extraterrestrials there, I tend to believe that there are. But I also believe that there are some supernatural forces there. It would be an awesome opportunity to actually go to the Bermuda Triangle and do a investigation. I'm one of those that would be willing to do so, just like I'm sure my colleagues would too. There are a lot of questions about the Bermuda Triangle. There have been things that have disappeared, and I tend to think that it's a dimensional juxtaposition. Now, I'm sure that these take place all over our solar system and all over our galaxy, but there really is no mystery to it. It's just a very, very plain thing. There are some things that are beyond a normal explanation. That's why we call them paranormal, or we call them extraterrestrial, terrestrial being Earth or Earthling. So I could best answer your question this way. Yes, I think that it has something to do with extraterrestrial forces. Yes, I do think that it's actually used as a doorway. Yes, I do think that it's a dimensional portal. And yes, it is an ultramagnetic point. Now, beyond that, have I been there? No. Although I would like to go there. I've been to the tips of it. In other words, I have had to do investigations at several points around the Bermuda Triangle. But would I shy away from the opportunity to go right in the center of it? Oh, no, I would love to. So it does bear investigating. So do your own private investigating. I think you'll come up with a lot of answers. Okay? I hope that helps you. What have you got next?
Next question is from Lisa. She says, Happy New Year to you and your family. My question is about a spirit or guide that often shows up in my dreams. He often hugs and kisses me, but when I ask his name, he said, Why do you need to know that? Should I ask again or just let it go? Thanks.
This is the way that I think about that. That's great, and you haven't encountered anything negative thus far, but the potentiality for it to turn negative is. Remember, you're talking to someone that really has you at a disadvantage. So if you're talking to a spirit that refuses to give you his name or refuses to tell you who he is or why he's there, my suggestion is for you to break contact. And you do that the best that you possibly can. And if you need help, There are people within your area or around that can help you. If you need help in learning how to break contact with those spirits, you know that I teach classes, and I'd be more than happy to help you out. Now, I'm sure that later on you'll get another point of view from my colleagues here, because they kind of have a story that goes along with what it is that you're talking about right now. So listen, anytime you get something that is showing you a certain amount of affection but yet refuses to reveal why, or refuses to reveal who they are, they're putting you at a disadvantage. That's not a good situation, even though it may seem like. It's kind of like a dysfunctional relationship, you know. You can say, well, you know, he treats me really nice, or she treats me really nice, but this person is a total jerk to other people, you know, which basically means that eventually they'll be a jerk to you. Okay, so you kind of have to think of it along those lines, and I suggest that you do. Okay, I do hope that helps you. What have you got for me?
Next question is from Tioni Piles. She says, I had a dream that the world was filling up with water. I tried to save everything in my path and was able to save this little girl, but the water kept rising and I woke up. What does that mean? What
that means is that you're trying to save yourself from an emotional episode. Okay, the little girl in the dream is you. The water represents your emotions and feelings, and sometimes they're turbulent and may be trying to overwhelm you. So what you're going to have to do is find an outlet, or find what it is that may be in the back of your mind that is rising slowly to try to engulf you in it. My recommendation is for you to really think about some of the things that have gone on in the last year, and think about those things that maybe you've held on to, or maybe that you just haven't had the opportunity to address, and start addressing them. 2, I suggested you look right in your immediate circle to see if someone else is having an emotional episode, because what's happening is little by little, you're actually being overwhelmed by emotions. That's exactly what the water means, okay? So, and the little girl you're trying to help, you can help her out by being logical, okay? If there are things in your life that are causing an emotional reaction, try to quell them, or even step away from the situation so you can see it clearly, okay? And then you'll abate the waters. So that's what that means, okay? I hope that helps you. Now, I want to take just a moment to actually use that particular thing to help everyone else. And by the way, Lisa, I'm sorry, Happy New Year to you as well, and I hope everyone else is having a very prosperous and wonderful new year. My suggestion for all of you people that are going through something emotional at the moment is try to see how you're still allowing the last year's things to affect you. And if you can say that you're still allowing last year to affect you, then we need to get rid of those things, okay? And I suggest that you do. Really go through your closets and start cleaning them out, okay? Go through those things that you're trying to hold on to, grudges, whatever, and let them go. And then you'll be fine. You'll be able to step up into 2014 the way that you're supposed to. This is a very transient year, which basically means that you have an opportunity to grow quickly. My suggestion is that you do. There are 2 things that are prevalent. 1 is independence. In other words, you're going to find your own independence, and 2, you'll be able to structure things the way that you need to. So it's an excellent time for you to reaffirm your foundation and actually build a new foundation. I suggest that you do that strongly. Now, what I'm going to do at this particular moment is I'm actually going to play a song, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have a wonderful discussion with the East Coast Ghost Trackers. So you're on the air live with Ahura Z. This is After Unicorn, and I'm really excited about this. We'll be back momentarily.
Surrender, will take your dreams. Surrender to my direction.
right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Anti-Nightmare spell from the Spellbook album by Pisces Project. All right. Tonight we have some colleagues. These are Kenneth Ort and Jamie Dube of the East Coast Ghost Trackers. And I'm going to let them actually tell a little bit about themselves in a moment, because there's some wild stories, and these stories I can actually verify. Not only that, I met them on a speaking engagement at Fort Knox in Maine, and I had become rather taken with them because I liked the way that they were handling things, and they knew that they knew their limitations, and they also like to adhere to respectful things. It's really important if you're going to hire a paranormal group or a paranormal investigative group, you have to make sure that they are respectful. They have to have respect for your home, they have to have respect for you, and they have to have respect for the spiritual. Okay? Truth, they use a lot of scientific equipment, and they have very much respect for the scientific community, but they don't shut out things of a paranormal nature, because we understand. Pure science says this: you must consider every single avenue. Okay? Whether it is tangible or intangible, whether it is normal or paranormal. And tonight, I'm going to give you all the opportunity to ask some questions. So please, if you feel like you want to call in and talk to these gentlemen, you may do so at 718-664-9638. Again, that is 718-664-9638. And I'm sure they will be able to answer a lot of your questions about paranormal investigation. Now, I have to point this out. Many of you have watched many of the television shows, and I've talked about them from time to time, such as TAPS, what's the other one, Paranormal State, Paranormal Entity, something. And listen, these guys are not part of the TAPS family, okay? They're real paranormal investigators, okay? They are real paranormal investigators, not the showboat, the kind that are looking into a camera and then pointing behind the cameraman and asking him if he's seen something. Okay, these are real people. So, why don't you, Jamie or Kenneth, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourselves and tell them what you've been doing, or not what you've been doing, but what it is that you do, what type of services that you offer.
Well, thank you. First, I want to thank you, or Z. I like to call you the Z-Man.
Yeah, that's cool.
For having us here. Ken and I really appreciate it, and we're honored to be here. We are a paranormal investigating group based out of Brewer, Maine. Ken and I have been together for, I can't count the years, and we have a team of at least 10 of us. And we do, pretty much all of Maine. Basically, most of our calls are centralized towards this, mid-Maine, and we're pretty busy there. Ken, like to add anything?
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay. So what you guys
love to get down to southern Maine and stuff.
Well, it's actually you're here now. Okay. So how does a person actually get in contact with you?
Well, we have several ways they get in contact with us. They have, we're on Facebook. We have our own website, East Coast GhostTrackers.com, Facebook, like I said, and we have our own phone number, area code 207-974-3074.
Okay. Now, can people call you anytime, or are there hours, or are
no,
you
we have an
available?
answer machine in the office that goes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So
okay.
Anybody calls up, they can leave a message, and I check it every day, several times.
Good.
Get back in touch with them. But the best way we found for people to get in touch with us is on Facebook.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Our Yahoo address is eastcoastghosttrackers@yahoo.com, which is pretty easy to remember. So.
Okay. Good. Now, when a person actually, what would qualify a person to actually have a reason to call you out?
Well, we definitely do our screening because we have to when we get these calls. So a lot of times, I have questions over the phone, what's going on in their lives. I try to find out. I try to find out whether I'm dealing with someone that's on medication or someone that has alcohol abuse problems, stuff like that. So sometimes it's people wanting an entertainment night. And other times, it's people that really actually need the help. So, the first conversation on the phone is really a screening, is what it is.
Okay. So you make sure that you just didn't have too many Skittles. Pretty much.
Exactly.
Then a lot of times Jamie and I will go actually to their house and have an interview with them before we bring the team down. Then we'll schedule, an investigation after that.
All right.
Like we did on that one time.
You're right.
That you were involved.
Yeah, and I want you to actually talk about that a bit. There was a time that they called me because I'm kind of like the psychic police. And they gave me a call because they were dealing with a unique case. And we talked a little bit about that earlier because it wasn't your run-of-the-mill paranormal investigation. This was something that even myself, I went, hey, I don't think you people should do this.
Yeah, because Jamie played the recording for you, didn't he?
Yeah, he played this recording. Why don't you tell them about that situation?
Well, we got the phone call. She had called the office at least 2 or 3 times wanting us to come and do an investigation at her house. And, she was saying that there was entities there. So we were happened to be going by there heading to Waterville, doing a Vassarboro investigation. So on our way by, we stopped and did an interview. And we walked into the residence, and everything was kind of quiet at first. But it didn't take her long before she really started showing us there was some issues going on with her. And just to describe how she looked just like Linda Blair in the Exorcist movie. She really did. The dark circles. She looked like she hadn't slept in a month. Really skinny. And she just looked lethargic. She did not look good at all. So when I got in there, I asked her, I said, where's the entity right now? And she said, well, the entity's up the stairs. I said, okay. Can you call the entity down here? I mean, you want me to go up and look to see if the entity's here? Still trying to figure out, is this woman in her right mind? So she had told me, okay, don't go upstairs, It doesn't want you to go upstairs. So, of course, I was, like to test the waters once in a while because I have to figure out whether or not I can help this girl or not.
Right.
So, of course, I went up the stairs. Nothing happened. I went back down the stairs, and then she really came apart at that point.
Okay, what do you mean by came apart?
Well, she started convulsing. She started getting really antsy and jittery, and her body started convulsing, and I'm waiting for her head to spin around 366 degrees. I just didn't know what was going to happen. And then she told me, she says, I want to slit your throat. I said, excuse me? She's like, yes, okay. I want to cut your throat right now. And she says, I'm sorry, but the entity's telling me to say this.
Now, did she just say it matter-of-factly, or was there like a growl or just an anger issue, or? Well,
she was kind of
just regular. She just came out and said it.
Yeah, but she did tell me that if we did come back, I thought this was kind of comical, that if we did come back to do an investigation, that she would hide the knives in the house.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Right. So. But the other investigators that Ken and I had with us, I mean, she was definitely scary.
Yeah.
And it was definitely not a good feeling. It was very negative, very dark. And personally, myself and Ken, we would never bring our investigators into a situation like that, and that's why we have these interviews.
Right.
So when we left there, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking, okay, I want no part of this because it's going to be too dangerous for our team.
Right.
But then I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to call the Z-Man. I'm going to let.
Did. We rode down the road in my truck, and he said.
And they did exactly that. They called me, and I heard the story. And I've encountered all kinds of entities and all kinds of energies, and this sounded more phantasmic. In other words, it's a phantom. However, I think that this particular person actually, it was a combination of her psychosis plus that. And when Jamie told me the situation, alarms went off, and I just had to tell you, listen, you need to get out of there, okay? That you need to back off from that one, okay? Because that's wrong. That's an entity. That's bad, okay? And that entity, this is how insidious an entity is. This particular entity would have put him in a situation where he would have had to defend himself, and if he had to defend himself against a woman, it's not going to look really good on the police report. So the best thing for you to do is to back out of it. Okay, just get out. Okay, because you're talking about a person that is, first off, obviously mentally unstable, okay? For her to look at you and say, well, I promise I'll hide all the knives, was kind of like saying, hey, I promise I'll put my gun away when you come in, It's like, so I've dealt with situations where I had to go to the home, but in this particular one, because of the nature of the dynamic here, because you mentioned also that there were people with you that it was too much for.
Yeah, they came in and exited right out. It was just way too, I don't know if scary is the right word to use, but it was just, I didn't want, what I did is I got on the radio and I called these investigators and said, listen, light up some sage, because I'm leaving here, and I don't want nothing following me.
Right.
Okay, I'm pretty strong-minded anyway, so I felt like nothing's going to follow me anyways, but still, you still take precautions. So I said, okay, light the sage, we'll be out. Well, they didn't catch that. So they lit the sage and they walked in. And then when they walked in, and this is another crazy part, they had a baby there, like a 3-year-old baby. And the baby, child, it was a little boy, when the two investigators walked in, the child turned his head and he said the name of one of the investigators that walked in the house.
Wow.
Which, yeah, she just turned right around and she walked right out, and she was afraid. She was afraid.
Yeah, and to someone that's sensitive, and they don't have a lot of grounding, because it sounds like she didn't have a lot of grounding, that can be pretty wild.
Exactly.
In that particular case, like you called me twice, and when you called me the second time, I said, listen, just get out. Okay, you need to back off from this one, because there's no good that can come from that at all. So that was one of those instances that I felt like you followed the right steps. And I think that was the thing that impressed me about your group, is that many of the groups are kind of egotistical. So they'll just think, well, I can handle anything. But there are certain people that can handle things and certain people that cannot handle things. And the fact that you had someone that reacted emotionally put everybody in danger. So I think that she did the smartest thing that she possibly could, which was, I can't deal with this, I'm leaving. Okay? So for those of you out there that are thinking about doing paranormal research and paranormal investigation, I think you need to listen to this particular story. Not every story is like this, but it was, in fact, something that was credible. Not only credible, but it was real. So I want to see if we have some questions about anything that we've talked about so far. What do we have?
Our chat room listener has a question, and they ask if you have ever experienced ectoplasm or a physical substance from a ghost. If so, what was it like?
The only thing that I could say, physical, I've never seen anything physical left by an entity or a spirit. Ectoplasm, we've caught in photos, pictures. Mm-hmm. We've caught stuff that could look like ectoplasm.
Right.
But do we really know? No, we don't. We know whether it's ectoplasm or not.
Yeah.
We're not. That's
kind of a hard question to answer, because I've seen physical evidence as well, and it didn't look like you see on Ghostbusters. There was no slime or anything. There may have been a trail that looked similar to what a snail leaves, a pretty wide one, so it would have to have been a huge snail.
Right.
But it was only trace portions of it. It wasn't a huge trail or anything. Yeah, there have been footsteps and things like that. So that's a good answer, because I've also seen them in pictures and in footage, the ectoplasm. You don't really normally catch the actual entity, but you can catch evidence of the entity there. And what else have you got?
And do you experience more spirits at night, or do they occur commonly in the daytime too?
No, we've gone to a place in what was it? Down Blue Hill. We went and did a place down at Blue Hill, and their activity was during the daytime. At about 7, 8 o'clock, it just stopped. It doesn't matter, time of day or night. They're still out there. It's just that most paranormal groups investigate during the night, because it's easier to catch stuff with cameras and stuff at nighttime.
And you have to admit, there's also kind of a creep factor that goes with it.
Yeah. But, they don't have no time. Like I said, we've gone to plenty of places where, we've had spirits doing stuff during the day, and then as soon as it get dark, it would stop.
Well, at Fort Knox, you were leading tours, and
right.
I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that. They also lead people on paranormal tours, and I think that's pretty cool. Because in Fort Knox, it was during the day that you were taking people on tours and got all of this activity.
During the day, yeah, at night. It's all different times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like down there at the fort. Usually about 11, 12 o'clock, it gets quiet. Usually nothing much happens after 11, 12 o'clock.
But we have our own personal theories to this type of stuff, too.
Mm-hmm.
And our theory is, is as far as, we've been investigating for so many years, and we've learned this on our own, our energy
Yes.
is dying off. So our energy is not really there for them to grab
right.
to continue on. Everybody's really pumped when we first get to investigation, and energies are high, and everyone wants to investigate and get into this. So we do catch evidence. Toward the end of the evening, 10, 12, 11, 12 o'clock, our energies are going. They're depleting. So everything else is too. Also.
Right.
So that's why we don't use our bodies anymore as a battery, which we have many times, but that's why we use equipment now. We use Tesla coils, we use tasers.
Right.
We produce the energies and the electromagnetic fields for them to draw from, which is a whole another story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother dynamic. And realizing that even the electromagnetism is only one form of energy among many, but they do actually, if they're going to manifest in this third-dimensional reality, there has to be electromagnetism for them to actually do something. And even then, it's just a charge. And the spiritual energy that goes with it is something that's always there, but you usually need a focal point or an anchor, which gives credence to what it is that you're talking about, how by the end of the investigation, you're all settled in, so, that energy just kind of dissipates itself, which is the same as for hunting, especially if you're dealing with a ghost. So long as there's a concentration of energy, the ghost can manifest itself. If there's no concentration, there's no real manifestation. So that's a really good point. What have you got next?
We have a caller on the line that would like to ask the East Coast Ghost Trackers a question.
Awesome. This looks like Elise, and Elise is a regular, regular on our show. And we'll just bring her into the studio as well. Hi, Elise. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Awesome.
That's good.
You have a question for our colleagues here.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
My question is, what is the oily residue that evil spirits leave behind, and what I can't understand is how can a spirit leave behind a physical residue, and how can you get rid of it? It doesn't seem to come off with anything. I tried everything. Any kind of soap, it doesn't come off.
Ectoplasm.
Yeah, I've got to shoot straight with you. Since we've been in the business, Ken and I, we haven't come across any physical evidence. Physical that an entity had left, like a trail or something like that. Usually with us, it's video, photos. We do get all kinds of evidence. But as far as physical evidence, we've seen poltergeist stuff that them move stuff for us with our eyes. But I've never seen anything, tangible.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, have seen that. That's actually called ectoplasm, physical ectoplasm. And you can get rid of it. One of the best ways for you to get rid of it is with, just because it dissipates the vibration of it, is a substance of vinegar and water. Works really good. Sometimes ammonia, but ammonia can be a little strong. It'll wipe out other things as well, like your sense of smell. So vinegar and water usually, at least.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you can get a hold of some holy water, that'll take care of it automatically. As long as it is holy water, and not just someone's idea of holy water.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you'd like to ask him?
No, not right now, but if I think of something, I'll call back later.
Awesome. Well, thank you for calling in, Elise.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, now, that was Elise. What have you got for us next?
We have another question from Chris, and he wants to ask, are there any ways to connect with past ones and hear their voices and such?
Well, he knows that. I've already taught him that.
I think maybe he was wondering if, like, through a machine or...
Oh.
Through their equipment.
We do have a number of devices that we use. We've got the Ghost Box, the Spirit Box, the Arvos PX, just to make things easier for everybody. A Ghost Box is an AM/FM transmitter that scans up and down the frequency bands. So what you do is you're asking questions to the entities, and then the entities will respond back on these frequency bands. But this is the thing. When you're talking to these entities, you're looking for a voice that's coming through over and over and over again, so that you know you're not just listening to a radio blurb or something that doesn't mean anything.
So you have to find a pattern.
You do have to find a pattern. And then when you do find a pattern, you have to try to figure out, okay, am I talking to the entity that says what they are? Just because they say who they are doesn't mean that's who they are.
Right.
So you have to be careful, and it's a really touchy situation when speaking to an entity through an electronic device.
Okay. Have you ever had an experience where you had to deal with a nasty one?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, we get them all the time. I mean, profanity. We do get it.
We actually had one time in Bangor that these people used to be devil worshippers, and the wife had thought they had gotten rid of the stuff out of the house, and the husband had kept some stuff. And so we had a fire out back. They had a Ouija board and they had a spell book. And we actually burnt them. And when we burnt them, we actually took some pictures, and it looked like the flame was like a devil head.
Yeah. Those things are bad.
Yeah, because the Ouija boards, all that's doing is inviting them in.
Yeah, exactly. It's a contract.
Yeah.
And that's something for you all to actually take heed. I'm not the only person that knows this. You got someone with a Ouija board. You either distance yourself from them, or get them to throw the Ouija board away, because that energy will come through them to you, as a matter of fact. And do some investigating of your own. Make sure that there are certain objects that are taken out of your home. Just because you want them out doesn't mean that someone else does. And you need to find a way to deal with that person or those people that are in your own home. You were saying that you're getting them to show a pattern. Are there any that just kind of challenge you? Not with profanity or anything, but just kind of challenge the fact that you're trying to get them to say who they are?
Well, yeah, sometimes. A lot of times I find them to be kind of tricksters.
Yeah.
There is a lot of tricksters out there, and they'll do a lot of mimicking. They mimic a lot. They'll say a lot of what you say, just to make a point. A lot of times with dealing with the paranormal world, you can't help but become in touch or more sensitive to your surroundings. Once you do that, you talking to these entities, you really have to. In your mind, you have to think about, are they being true to you, or are they not being true to you? It's a very touchy situation. It really is.
It is indeed. And I concur, because a lot of times they'll just tell you what they think you might want to hear.
Right.
Just so that they can do something, or just so that they can be where you are, or just so they can be where anyone is. That's really interesting. You were mentioning some of your equipment. Can you kind of introduce our audience to some of the equipment that you actually use in the East Coast Ghost Trackers?
Well, we have a lot of it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of it.
We have quite a bit of it.
From infrared cameras to ghost boxes to
thermal imaging cameras. We got all kinds of different kinds of EMF detectors.
Tell us about the imaging camera.
Well, it's just a regular thermal imaging camera. It's like the ones you see on TV. Well, it's not like the ones you see on TV. Ours doesn't record. Ours takes pictures every so often.
Okay.
But it measures signatures, hot and cold signatures.
Right.
And I see.
That you can't see. So if you were to put your hand on the wall just for a second and take your hand off the wall, you would see a red signature of your hand still on the wall.
Okay.
So it's reading the thermal image that you left there.
So very similar to forensics equipment.
Exactly.
Interesting. There was that one that we talked about, that dot matrix one, that I think that's the coolest thing ever. You know.
Well, we got one that we can take and set up in a room, and it'll light the whole room up, and then but that's not the same thing as the Connect. But we have a laser grid that we can set up on a tripod, and it'll light the whole room up with dots.
Wow. So that any movement whatsoever
is recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You were mentioning one portion of your investigation, or your investigation history, that you actually contacted an entity, or not just contacted, but built a relationship with this entity.
I have.
Tell us a little bit about that.
And she's quite popular. Hundreds of people know who she is. Just this.
Thousands of people.
Well, yeah, a lot of people. Just this past fall, I brought Channel 5 into there during the day, and I set up the equipment. I set up a static electricity ghost touch, we call it. And you don't even have to touch it. You just have to put your hand over it like maybe 6 inches, and it goes off. It measures your static electricity in your body. And beside that, I put a doll that she likes to play with, that Amanda from East Coast Ghost Trackers gave to her. And we put a K2 down there, which a K2 is an electromagnetic field meter. So we put that down there, and what I'll do is I'll call her in, and she'll, upon my command, she'll hit that K2, and then she'll touch that ghost touch. She'll make the ghost touch go off. And then, I'll put a ball on this, like a windowsill there in the officers' quarters. And she's knocked that off, that windowsill, in front of many, many people. I can't count the people that she's done this in front of.
And from what I hear, she kind of likes you.
Yes. Well, it's more, to me, I think it's more about the energies, and I think it's more about likes, attracting likes.
Right.
And I think she likes my energy. I can feel it. I can feel her.
She just like... He wasn't going to be there one night on the tours, and I had to run the tours that night, in which, is, for some reason, the spirits down at Fort Knox do not like me. They will not do anything when I'm there. And so I just wanted, because we don't know if spirits, if they recognize you, or if they just recognize, by your voice or something.
They do recognize you.
And so, well, we didn't notice at the time. We knew now.
Yeah.
And so I had Jamie send me a bunch of things on my phone with his voice, so that I could play it while I was in there. Just maybe that would entice her to do something, because, like I said, at the time we didn't know that, we weren't sure if they could recognize you, or if they just go by your sound of your voice or anything and recognizing you.
Right.
But it didn't work.
No.
I sat there and played the ball. I felt like a fool standing there playing them, and nothing was happening.
Which is probably mad because Jamie wasn't there.
Probably.
Yeah.
But she was there because she will, on one of our team members, Amanda, she will associate with, both Amandas. She will associate with them. So thank God they were there. I left, and so she came and did a few things. So.
Yeah.
But I had to leave. I had to get out of the room.
Well, you mentioned also that happens a lot of times when you're the one that's actually out in the investigation, that everybody shuts up.
Yep.
So maybe you're like this ghost dad or something, But in truth, I think that you have the type of energy that dispels things.
Right.
So you kind of have to look at it that way. And that's a good quality to actually have in a paranormal investigative team. Someone has to be the dispeller.
Right.
And even though in television shows they always show the dispeller looking a certain way, being a certain thing, the truth is that I think that that's what you are, because of the accounts that you've talked to me about from time to time. So that would be kind of...
I hate it because I like to have things happening.
Yeah.
And then, I'll be sitting down at the board. I'll be sitting down at the visitor center, and they'll come back and say, "Oh yeah, this happened. This happened."
Why didn't it happen when I was there?
Because I like to. When something like that happens, I want to see it. I enjoy it because they're communicating with us, and then I went up there one day and I was hollering at them. I said, I was getting mad. I went up there. Sometimes if I go up there and provoke them, they'll actually, stuff will happen when I'm there. And I did that one day. I was up there. I was standing there hollering at the officers' quarters, and I thought everybody was gone out of the fort. And I heard, all of a sudden I hear this, and I turned around, and there's this little Oriental couple standing behind me, and they heard me. I was telling Leopold I was going to go dehead his chickens.
Oh my God!
But when I do stuff like that, stuff will happen when I'm on the tours. Because Leopold, he loves his chickens and horses.
Yeah. But now, Leopold, who's Leopold?
He's what we think one of the main spirits down at the fort, because he was down there for 13 years. He was stationed there, and he actually died right there. And he's buried about a mile down the road from the fort.
Okay.
But he actually died of pneumonia inside the fort.
I see.
We think he's the one that's still patrolling the fort at night times and during the day and stuff. He's the one we have EVPs of that asks us who we are. We've got he said 10 hut, but he's still there patrolling around the fort.
Yeah, there's a few out there that are still patrolling. Yes, I remember being and taking a tour, just kind of walking through to see everything. There's some bad things that have happened over the years, true, but there's also some good and pleasant things as well.
Well, it's like another thing. A lot of people will come to us and say, well, nobody really died here at the fort. How can there be spirits here? Well, there's 3 recorded deaths at the fort. Mm-hmm. But people don't understand, you don't have to die someplace to haunt it.
That's correct.
You could have been there and had a good time. You could have been there and had a bad time. And
you left an energy signature. That's correct.
So, people don't understand, well, nobody died here. How's it haunted?
Well, they can't say that because I know for a fact that, like you said, there have been recorded deaths there.
But, I mean, people, even at houses and stuff, well, this is a brand new house. When people don't understand, nobody's died here. Your land could be.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a spirit attached to it. You could have bought an antique that had something attached to it.
Yep. Imagine all of the people that have walked this earth before us.
Right, exactly.
It's really funny. They never talk about animals or bugs. Oh, of course.
Yeah, right. That's right.
You have to think about all of those beings as well. And the beings that were something else that we only get to see glimpses of, or never really get to see at all. You've heard me recount my story of meeting a Sasquatch. And I have fought demons that didn't scare me that much. So there's all kinds of things. Now there's. Do we have any other questions for them at all?
I have.
What do you got?
2. This next one is from Arlisha, and she asks, is it true that a ghost will cause the temperature of a room to drop? When a ghost walks through you, does it leave a connection with you?
Okay. You've had that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. We are basically, we're spirits in the flesh form. So, of course, we're going to feel other entities. We just can't help, feeling other entities. When they come into a room, usually if they're there, they draw energy from the air, which creates the air to get cold, freezing actually. And then when they do walk through you, there is a connection. And this is where you have to be careful, because personally myself, the connection that I have with Elizabeth down at the fort, it's definitely a connection. We definitely have a bond, and she cooperates with me, and I thank her for that. But when I leave, it's, okay, you can't follow me home. You need to stay here. Emotionally, both sides, if you can imagine me leaving there thinking that this 4-year-old or 3-year-old girl, I'm leaving an entity there that's been cooperating with me, that's kind of sad. And then I think about on her end, that's could be sad for her also, too, because she's communicating with me, which is probably hard for her to do. But this is where it gets kind of scary. If I didn't know who that entity was, if I didn't have years of experience doing this with her at the fort, I would never do anything this cold, walk into a cold investigation doing this. Because what if the entity that I'm communicating with or walking through me isn't what I think it is?
Exactly.
Then, what if it's a negative entity playing a positive energy at the beginning?
Yeah.
Then there's trouble.
But you do actually have, because you're a well-rounded paranormal investigation group, you have those that are sensitive, that are psychic in their nature, so they'll be able to look out for you.
Yes.
So that's really important. That's something to be pointed out. And as he did point out, is that we are spiritual beings encased in flesh. So, of course, we're going to see other spiritual beings from time to time. And not only that, you really don't have to go hunting for them. They're kind of all around, But those are good points that you brought up. And I hope that helps you out, Alicia.
We have another caller on the line. It's Elise again.
Oh, Elise again.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I have a message from Peter.
Oh, Peter.
He says to have Jamie please tell the Eddie story.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Right. He wants you to tell it, so we got to tell it.
Okay, let me have Elise ask you her. Okay, Elise, how are you?
Hi. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to call back, but I thought of another question.
Don't apologize.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, what does it mean when a door appears in a wall and the spirit's hand comes through and doesn't stay, it just goes back? Like it looked like it came through the wall, like a door in a wall, like light outlined this door, and then it looked like it grabbed something from the air and then went back in the wall. I was wondering what that is and what it means.
Okay. Let me help you here.
I was going to say, Jimmy, and that's all yours.
Okay.
We've had things like that happen, but
now you want to know what it is.
Right.
Okay. All right. First, let me give you a little bit about Elise. Elise is extremely visionary. Okay, and she sees things, and she's also a prayer warrior, so she prays for people, and things happen. Okay. Now, what you're talking about right there is a dimensional opening. That spirit may be grasping for something in order to help it be pulled through. That's why the hand just appeared and then just grabbed something and left, or grabbed the air. It may have also taken something that it felt like was taken from it.
Oh.
Do you understand? Like it reached through whatever doorway that was to retain or to regain something. Okay? Or maybe even to pull something out of the air that you couldn't see at the moment.
Oh.
Okay? This is the thing with the spiritual. You know, you can always count on this with the spiritual realm, is that there is no wasted motion. Do you understand? We humans, we waste motion all the time. But when you're dealing with just the spiritual, there is no wasted motion. So that entity, whatever it was, definitely grabbed something. But grabbed something, hopefully, this is what I tend to think, that may have tried to cause harm to you, and actually grabbed it out of the air and took it away.
Also because there was a very bright light that opened the doorway in the wall. It wasn't like, didn't have dark energy in it.
Well, when you see that bright light, it's because the dimensional curtain has been passed through.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we live in a very, very physical world, a very electromagnetic world. Without electromagnetism, there'd be nothing. Everything would just go flying all over the place. So when those little curtains are penetrated, even by a spiritual being, it causes a reaction, a chemical reaction or a particle reaction that causes light. You understand?
Okay, so I understand it's like spiritual atoms as opposed to physical atoms.
Well, you can call it that. Definitely that, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what that probably was. Okay. No one can tell you exactly what it was. I can only tell you the nature of it because it sounds really, really familiar to me. Not only does it sound familiar to me, I know the way the things work, mechanic-wise or quantum mechanic-wise, if you want, and that's exactly what would happen and what has happened in cases that I've seen.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Can I ask another question or not?
You certainly may.
Oh, okay. The other day, I was coming back from the store, and I opened the front door up to come in, and when I opened it, there was like an arm that was in the way. When I tried to push the door closed again, there was an arm in the way pushing the door back open, and I felt the arm as if it was a physical arm, but I didn't see a person. They were invisible.
That was actually a strong impression that someone left behind. That's what that was.
Oh.
That was an energy signature that someone left behind, and you walked dead into it.
Oh, okay.
That happens from time to time.
Oh, okay. It was kind of eerie. I was wondering what it was.
Yeah. Well, I hope that helps you.
Yeah, it does. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Good. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thanks. Have a good evening.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And there she is. All right. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play another song, and then we're going to come back and we're going to hear about Eddie, and then I'll actually open the phone lines for more questions. Remember, if you have questions for the East Coast Ghost Trackers, please give us a call at 718-664-9638. That's 718-664-9638. And you're on the air live with Ahura Z. We will do our station identification, and then we will come right back.
You're listening to Ask the Unicorn with Ahura Z. DeLiza, answering all your paranormal, metaphysical, and spiritual questions. Call us now at 718-664-9638 to speak with Ahura, or post your questions via chat room on our show page. If you have an issue you'd like to discuss with Ahura in more detail, he offers telepathic readings and spiritual counseling by phone and Skype. Ahura also teaches private classes online using Skype video. For more information, visit Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics at www.unicorn-cove.com. And now back to Ask the Unicorn.
Again, was Pisces Project with Admonition. If you like the music or any of the music that is played on this show, you can download the music. All you have to do is go to the Unicorn One Records, that's Unicorn, the number 1 records.com, and you can download this music. Now, I have to say a few things. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hi, Peter. It's really Hoss.
Yeah, Hoss.
And you know how we got that?
That's his nickname.
Yeah.
We were down to investigate the place down in Searsport. I don't like to say the names, people, the names of the place.
Right.
But we were down there, and we were down in this part of the building. I guess you can call it a garage.
He was a newbie, though.
Yeah, I know.
He was a newbie when this first started.
Yeah.
And there was a rocking horse there, and he tripped over it.
He tripped over it and screamed like a girl. Maybe that's where he got the name off. Screamed like a little schoolgirl. Good job, Pete.
Good job.
We know you're not a girl, buddy.
That's all right. You know, he likes Sony cameras, so I'm okay with it. You know? So he wants you to talk about Eddie. Good.
Eddie was an entity that followed us around on investigations to the point where it was starting to interrupt our investigations. So when we finally figured out who Eddie was, which was a family member of Pete's, once we found out who he was with the electronics that we have, we figured out what the problem was, what the unfinished business was. We took care of the unfinished business, and then Eddie disappeared.
Okay.
He moved on. And Pete, that's probably as much as I'm going to give on this one. Sorry, Eddie.
Okay, that's probably pretty good. When it gets into personal matters, we kind of keep it on the down low. But the truth is, it's kind of a funny story. And again, when it comes to unfinished business, you hear that a lot. In fact, you can always tell a good paranormal investigator if they tell you something that was unfinished business and they have an accounting of it. As opposed to listening to someone say, well, they're trapped by unfinished business. You hear that a lot in the movies, and you hear that by other people that, want to be like paranormal investigators, like that freaking group that has that one guy with the Astro Boy haircut,
Oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah, just amazingly. But this is actually true. There is unfinished business that can stop a person from going on to what it is that they need to do. And I'm glad you called in, Pete, or glad you wrote in, and, I'm glad that you're okay from that rocking horse incident. Okay, so do we have any other questions for them?
I believe we have a caller on the line.
Okay.
A couple of callers.
Oh, good.
Chris and Lorraine.
Okay, so I'm going to bring Chris in. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Good. You have some questions for our colleagues here tonight.
Yes, I do. I was wondering, because I have read up on voodoo, and I was wondering if voodoo has a great impact on spiritual, encounters,
Of course it does. I've already told you things like that. Actually, they don't handle that particular part of things. They usually handle the result.
That's why we got you.
That's right. That's why we got this evening.
Okay. Your voodoo practices such as that, even basic religions, all have an effect on us in our relationship with the spiritual realm. So if there are people that are practicing voodoo, vodun, santeria, obia, all these types of things, and believe you me, they're not all evil, but, we get told that they're evil based upon someone's idea.
Because I heard about that a lot. They say, oh, they're evil, but, I actually read up on that. A lot of them really don't want to do evil. They just...
Well, you're correct. They don't want to do evil. And, you kind of have to... learn about things before you start judging it. As a matter of fact, it would be far better for you not to judge it at all. So just take into consideration that, yes, every single practice that there is does have an effect on the spiritual realm and our relationship to it. Okay, do you have another question for them?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, thanks for calling in, Chris.
Okay, and this next...
All right, see you later.
All right, see ya.
This next caller is Lorraine, and she says that you all investigated her mom's house 2 times.
Okay. How are you, Lorraine?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, just wonderful. You have some questions for our colleagues here tonight.
Well, they know that I love them and appreciate what they did for us. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. It's been a while.
I know, but, Hannah Grant still lives and breathes at Mom's house.
Yeah. How's the woman upstairs doing? Have you any?
That would be Hannah Grant.
Yeah. Is she still moving through the halls over there?
I'm thinking she is. I don't live there, as you know. It's my mom's house, but
yeah.
You know that I know her presence there, and she always lets me know when I'm there that she's there.
Well, we got a really good picture of her looking in the window. This is a really great investigation that we did in Winterport. Okay. And we had some really good personal experiences in the house. Really strong
It was
experiences.
Cold cuts, EVPs, all of it. Orbs. It was awesome when you guys came.
Yeah, there was a lot that went on there, but we have a picture that when it was break time and everybody exited the house, and we were all outside, and we're always taking pictures all the time, constantly at the windows from outside, and and we
This is a big 11-room house. It's not a little tiny place, a little ranch dorm somewhere. This is a 250-year-old historic main house.
Okay. Do you know what the house was before you all moved into it?
My parents bought it in 1968, and it was part of the Underground Railroad.
I see. Okay.
On the Penobscot River. So there's a lot of history in that house. Tunnels underneath going to the river.
Definitely that, yes. Okay, so tell me about this woman.
Well, we captured a picture of her looking out the window at us while we were outside on the break, which is a great picture because we use that picture a lot when we do shows at Fort Knox or we do public events. We have a table of all our evidence, and that picture...
It's on the same body of water. It's on the opposite side from Fort Knox.
Yes, it is.
I see.
But that picture, it's really uncanny. That picture, it reminds me of, I think it's your granddaughter. To me, it looks, the face
my Nomi?
Yes, the face is so, it looks a lot like her in that picture. And I told you that, if you can remember.
Which leads me to my question about it. Are you all related to that person?
Nope.
Not at all? There's no connection?
I am related to the house, but they are not. These guys just came in at my asking and did an investigation. They are separate from me.
No. I mean the entity. Are you related some way to the entity?
No. My parents moved in 1968 when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
And we just there our whole lives. And my parents still own the home.
Okay. Do you know if they maybe bought the home from a relative or?
No, not even possible. My mother's an English woman, so our family was moved over from England to here. So it's not possible that we are related to this entity or this person that died there. Actually, asked Jamie about the history. We went to the cemetery. There is much history related to the house and the family.
Yeah, we before we went to the house, and this story is kind of go into the this kind of the psychic theme for a minute here. When we went to the cemetery, we had a list of names, and we were trying to find out if the entity. We had a list of names for that house, and we were trying to find out if that person was buried in the cemetery close to that house, which is just down the road. So when we got there, we exited the vehicle, and we had some equipment with us, and I walked right. And this is kind of crazy. I'm not saying I'm anything special.
You're a magnet.
But I stepped out of the vehicle and I walked right to the stone, which was across the cemetery. It was pretty far from the car, but I walked right to it. And when we got to it, I had put the K2, the electromagnetic field meter, on the stone, and it was lighting that K2 up all the way to red. And you take it off the stone, it would stop. You put it back on the headstone, it would light right to red. So from that point on, and the name, Hannah, was the person that was on that list. That was the list that you gave us from the house. Am I correct, Lorraine?
Yes.
Okay.
True.
So at that point, we kind of had a feeling that we were dealing with that entity, Hannah, in that house. So how I got to that stone, that's another story.
Okay. I kind of have to interject here because I'm seeing a connection between you all. And that connection, you said that your parents were from England, right?
Yes, my mother is an English woman.
Okay, that's fine. The house was 250 years ago, correct?
Yeah, and my mother still remains there to this day. It was only last year these guys came.
Yeah, I understand all of that. But one of my jobs is to be able to talk to these people. And
All right.
I'm seeing a connection between your family and this entity.
And that's why I think the faces are similar.
Yeah, there's definitely a connection. It doesn't matter to me if your family is from England, because I have my suspicions that whoever owned the house first was also from England, and or around in that particular area. So there's definitely a connection here, because I'm not wrong about these things.
Believe you.
So I think that the reason that there is the connection between all of you is because this connection was made ancestrally.
May I interject one thing, please?
Of course.
Jamie, do you remember when we were in my mom's room and you guys asked, do you guys know anyone here? And we heard on one of your devices, the word Lorraine came out?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah,
And I had told Jamie before they came there that when I spend the night at my mom's, which is, rare, I always hear people saying my name. This is the reason that I asked Jamie and his, East Coast Ghost Trackers to first place, because I always feel like there's someone talking to me when I'm at Mom's house.
And that's basically some of your ancestors.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely a relationship between you and these entities.
Oh, for sure. But I grew up in that house, but I don't live there. So when these guys said in my mom's bedroom, my mom cleared out. They took the cats and everyone else. It was just me and the team. They let me be involved in it, which I really appreciate because I love this stuff. They said, do you know anyone in this room? And a voice came through, and they said, yes, Lorraine.
Huh.
It made my skin just rise on the back of my neck and hair, and the room got cold and all that good stuff. I loved that. But it was just positive that, Hannah Grant knew I was there.
If I were you, I would trace back in your ancestry just to make it an exercise, because I'm sure you'll find her.
Well, we have done some of that in the past, and I think that Jamie can fill you in on the fact that there were like 2 different generations of Hannah Grants in the house. So we found them at the cemetery. On their second visit over, I went with them to the cemetery, and we put roses on the youngest Hannah's grave, which is so
That's
awesome of these to do that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, definitely there's a connection. So this is family you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's nothing scary. It's all good stuff.
I didn't get that impression at all.
Nothing.
I think that's quite special. That's a really good story. You need to write this kind of stuff. If I were you, I would write this whole accounting down yourself. That way you always have it so you can pass it to those that come after you. These are paranormal things. These are the kinds of things that we like to hear. These are the kinds of things that we need to hear. And these are also the kinds of things that lots of people need to hear to understand that the paranormal is not something to be
It's not
afraid
scary.
of. Yeah, it's not
life.
something to be afraid of. It's just very, very natural. I do
not
appreciate
even that. You know what? Like I do that. My mom's house is part of the Underground Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
When these guys showed me their little radar detectors on their iPhones, I downloaded it, and I got all kinds of my own messages, like underground, slaves. It showed all that stuff on those words came up.
I think so. I happen to know for a fact that there's a huge network of underground passages, and I've investigated it myself.
My mom lives down the river in Winterport, Maine, so the tunnels run underneath her house. And when we moved in there in 1968, my dad filled them in so us kids wouldn't play down there.
Right, I understand. And that was probably a good idea because they lead on forever.
I'd be playing it right now.
Yeah, you would be, wouldn't you, Lorraine?
That's awesome. You know, this is what people need to hear. You know, so you don't get the idea that everything is all scary and creepy and, you know, something's going to come to get your spirit. And sometimes it's your own family that just wants to hang around you.
I totally agree with that. And talking to me. And Jamie and Ken, good luck with you guys. I'd love to have a DVD of my findings from my mom's house.
Well, we wanted to get you one, but we had a DVD problem or a DVR problem, so we lost quite a bit on that investigation. So
yeah, if you remember, the last time we were there, we were having trouble with it. Well, we went back, started going over it, and the hard drive blew up in it.
So we're learning all the time. We actually set Command Central outside on her patio. Okay, and what had happened was
it kept turning on and off. And
yeah, the mist got on top of the DVR system, and it kind of cooked a lot of what we had for evidence. So that's unfortunate, but
it happens. It happens. That's something you'll always have to deal with from time to time.
It was so much fun, and we got cold spots all over the house, and you guys let me be part of it, and I really appreciate that.
Great. We appreciate it, too.
Good. Which is something I want to point out to all of you that are listening. If you do want to accompany them from time to time, as long as it's not something that is going to be taxing, I'm sure they'd be willing to accommodate you with their tours. They have places that they take people on tours. And if it's your own house, they'll be more than happy to let you be involved, I'm sure.
Well, we like the people to be involved because this way, if something happens, they can see it firsthand.
Right.
They're not going to say, well, you know, I wasn't there. How do I know this wasn't set up to do something like that?
And that's very important.
We're keeping there because this way they're seeing it firsthand.
Because we hear stories of, we go into places where people have already had an investigating team in there, and some of these teams actually block out the owners of the residents or the businesses and won't let them, you know, go along with them, and then they produce evidence afterwards. You see, so you know, where's the credibility there?
See, that's why we want people there, because this way they're going to see it firsthand as we're seeing it.
Right, I get it. I've seen a few groups like that, and listen, for all of you out there that think that just because you have a video camera that makes you a paranormal investigator, it does not. This is something that it takes a lot of expertise in, and it takes a lot of training in, and you know, you're not going to learn to investigate a house overnight. Okay, so
we've been doing it since 2005, and we're still learning.
Yeah, and this is true. And even with myself, I've been doing this since the early 90s, and I still learn things every day. You know, you're dealing with different entities, and you learn based upon the entity or the energy, not based upon just your experience or even your training. Okay? And my having the edge of being a telepath does not mean that I know everything. It just means that I know a lot of things. You know. So
I'm still here.
Oh, I know that you're still here, and I haven't forgotten about you. And
can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Do you know who Chip Coffey is?
I've heard of Chip Coffey, yes.
Do you think that it would be fun to go on a seminar to listen to him?
Why not?
Why not?
I mean,
exactly.
I think it'd be a decent idea. I mean, I'm sure, you know, he's stepped into the department of celebrity, and that's cool.
I think he's adorable. I think it'd just be fun.
Well, I don't really think he's adorable, but I think he's good at what he does.
He's funny.
Yeah.
I just like his sense of humor and his approach to, you know, being a medium and psychic. He's just really funny.
Well, that's good. I mean, why not go and see the experience? I've seen a lot of people that are good at what they do, and as long as they don't lose themselves, they'll be okay. I mean, there's one person that I used to actually listen to a lot, and I would read at the same time as he did, and that was John Edward. And there are a lot of very talented people out there, you know, so why not just have the experience of going to see the person, and then you can judge for yourself whether or not it's a good experience or a bad experience. You know, that's up to you. That's not something I can
John Edward.
Beg your pardon?
I can't afford John Edwards.
Oh, no. I don't mean go see John Edward. I mean go see Chip Coffey. I mean,
I'm going to.
I can't really give you a great assessment on the person because I've never gone to see him. I can only say that there are a lot of people out there that
knew of him.
Yeah, I knew of him, and that's about, I've heard his name, I've heard that he does what he does, and he's a medium, and I know that he's in town. That's what I can tell you about him.
Well, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Well, thank you for a
Thank
nice
you for calling
chat.
in. I really appreciate your presentation and your offering to this show. That's awesome.
Well, these guys did a great job, not only once but twice.
Oh, I know that they're good.
Yeah, and
yep.
they let me join them, which is really important to me. So
yeah, that is important.
Yes, it was amazing, and I appreciate you. And have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Well, that was pretty cool. So
absolutely.
These stories should help everyone that is listening. Do you have anything else?
I have some general questions.
Okay, what do we got?
This is from Arlisha in our chat room. She asks, can you tell us what causes shadow people? I've seen an old man behind me at different times in my life.
Shadow people are not caused. A shadow person is actually someone that exists in a different dimension. Because they are still alive, they actually give you a shadow. Okay? That means that in the dimension that they are living in, the light hits them in a certain way, just like it hits you in a certain way. It presents a shadow. If they were dead, they'd have no shadow. Okay? And believe it or not, these things are happening more and more frequently, which basically means that the dimensional curtains are getting thinner and thinner and coming together, which means that the more dimensional curtains that there are, the less, the less space there is. Okay, which basically means you're going to get some bleed-throughs from time to time. That person is probably looking at you and seeing you as a shadow and then reporting to someone else and saying, can you tell me what this person is? This is the shadow person, this young lady that keeps manifesting in front of me. You have to really take these things into consideration. Our universe is magnificent in its dimensionality. There are so many different dimensions that happen all the time and new ones that are coming about that you're bound to see things from time to time. I don't care what any skeptic or any person that wants to say that things don't exist says to you. The truth is, for you to be able to see anything, for 5 people to be able to look at an apple and all know that it's an apple proves that paranormal things exist. It also proves that there is psychic ability, which is based in psionism, which is basically psionic, which is your mind. This is just the way that it goes. Now, take that into consideration with the fact that there are no strings on you when you walk. That basically says that there are dimensions at work. There are different dimensional energies that are at work, Now, taking all of that into consideration, that's what's happening. You're seeing someone else in a different state actually looking at you, looking at them at the same time and seeing a shadow. That's what we like to call shadow people. It's not going to attack you. It's okay. Okay? And if it does, it's probably because it's afraid. Just like you could be afraid of certain things. So you're actually seeing something that is actually more of a phenomenon than it is a psychic experience. It's actually very grounded. I hope that helps you. Good question.
This next question is from Tina Brown. She heard bells twice in about 1 minute. She heard the bells outside, but when she went to go and check them out, there wasn't anything that could make that sound. And at that moment, she sat back down. The second bell rang, and she wants to know what they are and what they mean.
That's usually a visitation. And that's, you had someone that left recently that was probably a visitation from that person. Many times, the relationship between the physical and the spiritual is basically preceded by the sound of a bell. And if you heard that several times, that means that someone came to see you. And I'd like to think that I know who that is, and I'm sure that you do too. Okay. So I hope that helps you, Tina. Good to hear from you. And what do you have next?
Nothing so far.
Okay. That's fine. What I am going to do is I'm going to actually end right here. And we're going to end the show. This has been a fantastic show. And I'd like to thank the East Coast Ghost Trackers for being here. Why don't we tell people a little bit about how they can get in touch with you again?
Basically, you can just you can email us at eastcoastghosttrackers@yahoo.com, or you can go to our website, eastcoastghosttrackers.com, or you can reach us on Facebook. We have a community page on Facebook. Or you can give us a call at 207-974-3074.
Okay. And I hope you all have enjoyed them being here. And if you have any other questions, you can also ask us here at Ask the Unicorn. And you can also contact me at Unicorn Cove, School of Metaphysics. And you can also go to our websites. And our websites are basically... whoops, dropped my paper here. We can go to Ask the Unicorn. That's www.asktheunicorn.com. That is also www.unicorn-cove.com. Unicorn Rangers, www.unicornrangers.org. Or you can find me at Facebook, and that is www.facebook.com/AhuraZ. And I can direct you to them as well. For those of you out there that may want a paranormal investigation, this is the group one of the groups that I actually recommend. And I have had occasion to work with them. I've also had occasion to see them describe what it is that they do. I've also had occasion to be with them in events. So I'm telling you that they are the most credible group that I have found so far.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. So, and we appreciate your being here.
Appreciate you having us out here.
Yeah, no problem.
Absolutely.
We've been waiting for this for quite some time.
Yeah, we've talked about it for a while.
Yeah. And Pete, you need to stay away from those rocking horses, okay? Yeah.
I got one.
Oh, good.
He left.
No, I don't know.
Oh, because I got one more. I got one more time left. I can say, "Hi, Pete."
Yeah,
Okay, what were you going to say?
A shout out to Charlie, who is being too shy to call in.
Hello, Charlie. Charlie Alejandro. And she usually does the video Ask the Unicorn with me, the actual TV show. And she's also very, very paranormal in her nature. She's part of, learning to be part of our team. And she's very, very good. She sees things. She's also an ex-Boston State policeman. And her husband is a state policeman in Boston. And he's also very, very sensitive. And we kind of keep ourselves, we're all in this battle together to help people understand what paranormal abilities actually are and what paranormal investigation actually is. So she appreciates this as well as I do.
Well, it's like a lot of paranormal teams don't understand. You know, we're all working this together.
Exactly.
You know, not one team is, better than another. Or, you know, if another team needs help, we're more than happy to go help somebody.
You're supposed to. And
that's right.
Like I like to say, there's enough meat in the kitchen for everybody.
That's right.
So, and that's a really good point to make. All of you paranormal groups out there, please stop the bickering and thinking that you're better than each other. There's so many spirits here. You're not going to run out of work. It's going to be okay. There's no economic downside to the spiritual. So I really enjoyed the show, and I hope you have all enjoyed the show. If you have any more questions, please write them down so that you have them next time, and I hope that we can have you guys back.
Absolutely. We'd love to come back.
Awesome.
We really appreciate it.
And tell your whole team that, what was that?
Well, I also wanted to say, because we just got a text from Pete again. He said promote the YouTube channel, channel. So we do have our shows of Maine's Most Haunted on YouTube.
And if you go to YouTube, ECG Trackers LLC, we have 3 TV shows up there. Plus, there's other things on there from when we were Danny Cashman's show and stuff.
Oh, awesome. So please check them out.
Pete is our producer.
Yeah.
So he's been kind of slacking lately. So this is a hint there, Pete.
It's all right, Pete. You've been looking at that Sony camera too long. I get it. But please check them out anywhere you can. As I say, this is one of the go-to groups, so please check them out. And I'd like to thank everyone for listening tonight. Again, thank you all. Tell your whole team I said hi. And
I'm sure most of them are listening.
Yeah, I hope they are. And I appreciate you all listening out there. Charlie, you really need to ask your questions online sometimes and actually call in. You can't hide.
She's trying really hard.
I know she's trying really hard. And for all of you out there that know me, I'd like to say hello to all of my people. And this has been a fantastic show. Thank you. I will see you all next week on Ask the Unicorn live with Ahura Z. Good night.
You've been listening to Ask the Unicorn with Ahura Z. DeLiza. If you have a personal matter you need help with, Ahura offers telepathic readings and spiritual counseling by phone and Skype. He also teaches private classes in an array of subjects online using Skype video. Visit Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics for more information at www.unicorn-cove.com. If you have a question for Ahura to answer on a future episode of Ask the Unicorn, you can email it to questions@asktheunicorn.com and we'll add it to the list for our next show. Ask the Unicorn broadcasts live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. Visit our website for more information and to hear archived episodes of our show at www.asktheunicorn.com.
When you don't know, just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places on
Ready
the
to say
What do? And when you don't know, just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places others won't go.